Okay, this is gonna be fun because I'm gonna break down to you how rigged the dating game is right now. Maybe you felt it. There's something off, but it should be obvious by now for you. There are a few statements that Peter Joderson made. Yes, I know I fucked up his name again intentionally this time, and I'm gonna call him this way for the rest of the conversation, I guess. What, 100 episodes? For the rest of the season, at least. Anyways, so the first statement that he makes: if you get rejected, either you're a shitty person or all women are shitty. And so the first thing I did after all of this nonsense, when I try to, approach, sort of get some traction, I get non-traction. I didn't felt like there is anything that I'm interested in. I was curious, right? Am I interested in this? And the answer was, yeah. I'm sort of attracted to the looks of how women look because they spend so much time perfecting this stupid art. And beyond that, I'm just like, I'm hitting a brick wall. There's nothing. It's empty space. It's like you're approaching an image and it just scatters. There's no image. It's an optical illusion that has been created for you. There's no personality, no person itself. The only reason why people date. Let's go to the next statement. You'll figure that out. It's basically a black market at this point. It's not a game. There is no non-traction. Like, if dating was a game, and I'm a pretty good gamer, I know, and I'm a game developer, I know what it means to create a system that works, that involves as many people as possible, captures their interest, and most importantly, feels rewarding and feels like you're investing something and you're learning stuff. Like, none of that is happening. So obviously there's something wrong with this concept in the first place. My problem is obviously, like, who's supposed to teach me, introduce me to the concept? Like, who's supposed to interest me? Because I am not interested. Is there anyone who is promoting dating, who's dragging people into this stuff? Why women are so social and yet I'm not dragged into this stuff? Oh, I'm not attractive, so I have to change myself. But what if I'm not interested at all? Like, what if I'm not willing to play? This is bullshit. What if I'm sexually attracted, that automatically means, no, I just gonna buy a doll and fuck a fucking doll. That's what I want to do. That's what men going their own way are going to do. If they're sexually attracted, they're just gonna look up images on the internet. They're just gonna look porn. That's it. That's what's gonna happen. The game is not only rigged, it's just doomed. It's not even a game. It's doomed. It's just like the same fucking thing that games are defined as. There are non-game definitions, which is sandboxes, multiplayers, and tech demos. They're rampant right now. They're non-games. Just like this Battle Royale thing, Fortnite. Not only they introduced this multiplayer bullshit game, where, well, you fight other players, congratulations, that's the game. They also introduced the sandbox, the Fortnite playground. That's the latest ad that I found. Like, what the fuck is that? It's a sandbox. You've introduced multiplayer, now it's a sandbox. How less of a game can you make these days? It's literally saying to people, make a game. Here are all the tools. Please make a game. Please entertain yourselves. It's wonderful, right? Oh yeah. It's fucking ridiculous. This is why I just don't play these stupid things. It's ridiculous. I can't even define them as games because you play them and you're like, well, what do I do now? Do I even care to win the game? Battle Royale? Earn skills? Like, this is a huge investment. Yeah, people get into that, but not for the reasons you would think. Not because it's a game. Same goes for the dating. It's just a multiplayer thing. And most important part of it is sexual activity. Yes. This is why Peter Joseph says there are more women than men right now. What do you think is happening? Well, the opposite of what you would think. What is fair to happen is that every woman finds a relationship for her, pretty much, right? At least every single man does. He finds maybe even more than one woman for himself. Why isn't that happening right now? Why do we still live in this like nature-based environment where the same thing happens, I believe, as in nature, but I don't want to drag nature into this. This is fucking stupid. But only a handful of men are in the dating game. And what are they in there for? Sexual activity. That's it. The pleasure. That's all they're in there for. And that's crazy. Another crazy thing is social sites, social media. What are girls doing anyways right now? They're posting pictures of themselves. Yeah. What are they doing? They're literally fueling the same thing that I just warned about. Porn. Story. They're uploading their own story there. They're being fully open about themselves, most of them. So, what's the point of dating? If you can just see the entire person, like, they don't have anything to offer beyond that. You bet they don't. You fucking bet. Because there is no game. Nobody's inviting you to play the game because it's so exciting, and the more people play, the more fair it becomes, the more exciting it becomes. It's crazy. Everyone plays. Everyone knows how to play the game. Now, it just becomes automatic. Everyone's invited. You don't play the game. Everyone is asking the same thing. Everyone is dragging people in. It just becomes like this automatic thing. A trend, but the trend that's driving the society forward. I think modern socialism is going to introduce exactly that. It might just be the most attractive part of modern socialism, is that it has the most important aspect fixed. Government doesn't care about dating, but a certain type of political view is going to care about it. This is why I hate politics to begin with, is that because you don't get morality through dating, really, because you don't give a fuck. You just want to appeal to the person, so they just kind of like you enough to do stuff with you, right? You just say what they want to hear. That's what's up right now. You just become a person that they want to be with, that they feel like, well, yeah, that's great. That's how a person should be like. I'm attractive, I'm giving a service, you being attractive, you giving me a service. That's what it's about, right? In this world. No, This is ridiculous. Literally, it's just black market of sex. That's all there is. I don't see anything else. Babies just come out of coincidences, accidents, because people abuse each other. People find each other and they, oh, I can abuse you. I like you. And you like to be abused. Great. That's a relationship that sticks. And I haven't seen true love just at all. Is again, there's none of that's going on. The system is just completely rigged. Yeah, I wish that modern socialism would be the answer to that. It absolutely has to do that. And probably gonna have its own problems, but it's gonna be better than what we have right now. By any means. I kind of try to figure out what perfect ego means and how you get it. Sort of, there's this weird thing where you create a perfect ego for self-presentation, not becoming a perfect person inside, but you want to present yourself as perfect, which is weird. It sounds like this not very honest, but actually it is more honest than you would think, because you need to be honest with yourself for who you are first. You love yourself, then you find yourself. By that I mean you find another person that basically behaves similar to you, similar to how you can tolerate. As much as difference can you tolerate and understand and appreciate. And then you can connect. Because that's really what connects. Like, I find this, like, you look at H3H3 podcast, Ethan and Neela, are they really connected? They're just so fucking cringy to look at. I would just, is that a fucking couple? Is that a wannabe family? Are you serious? They're so different. Maybe that's the reason why they cannot get, Hila cannot get pregnant. Maybe that's the case. Maybe deep down there is no, connection, which is what actually drives the whole thing. I don't know. It's all speculation, but it's like, this is like serious, very serious. To see these really different people, it's just such a cringe, and every other relationship seems to be very similar to that. Yeah, gosh, I don't like it. But this is where it comes from. This is the whole, you can call this a Creeper's Forge for sure. Crazy, crazy stuff. This is where all this shit comes from. Shit people. So again, you need self-presentation to find yourself. You need a perfect ego. One interesting discovery is possibly that these different personalities, these two water personalities, for example, is just one of them is the high ego willing to become a slave owner, and another one is willing to be a slave, willing to be abused, abuser, and someone you can abuse. So, or who got abused. But that's kind of the point. You don't really become that personality until you prove your point. So, but there's so many opportunities to prove your personality. Is just you essentially become. I would even question myself at this point, because now there's an opportunity for me to step a little bit deeper and ask myself whether I abused anyone or I am a person to be abused. I just have to answer this question. There's no third option at the moment. So that's going to be very difficult for me, I bet. I mean, I would probably be the one who gets abused. Very likely. I'm just saying. So we have this high ego and low ego on the surface, and I say it's very easy to create perfect ego on the surface, because as you learn morality, you sort of want to project that morality to other people. So you're kind of like a good leader. You become a good leader for people. You become a good impression for people. And I think that's very important. You can easily share yourself, and you can easily be transparent of who you are deep down as a person. Like, this is so important to create this perfect ego on the outside, not the inside, because the inside is so much more difficult to perfect. It's weird, but it could be even impossible to perfect. And yeah, as I've mentioned, you learn morality through dating, because there's so many differences that you have to kind of settle down, and you essentially deal with moral issues. And people kind of try to shy away from that. And most of that has transformed into always just political talk. So we shouldn't really engage into that, because it's just boring. Or it just has negative sort of, just like philosophy is the same thing as like why people are not using as much logic, why they don't argue with each other. They just sort of stay away from each other at this point. Because who knows what you can define as violence at this point. It's like so fucking stupid. So as a conclusion, you can see that the game is rigged by now, hopefully. Oh, there's another thing that Peter Joderson said as a hint that shit is going down really badly, is the makeup in workplace argument. That people wear suits in workplaces, they're uniformed, and their kind of sexual representation of themselves through makeup, through whatever men can do to present themselves as sexually inviting into this black market or whatever. Well, that's sort of supposed to be banned in workplaces, which is like sort of stupid at the same time. Like, it's one of the most important parts that you can learn. The moment you become attractive, all work should be like put aside, and you settle your differences right now. Like, that's how it's supposed to be. And yeah, sure, like you shouldn't really be sexually oriented in a workplace, because it's distracting, but there's something very, very fishy about this, because the priorities are just messed up completely. It's just torture. Like, you should be able to mix things up a little bit and sell your priorities. Find some time to talk differences and have a date in the middle of a work day. It's just that simple. It's that important. That work hours would be more flexible. There's all sorts of things to fix, and I say we need a completely new society for this shit. New society. Everything's different. Everything's gonna be different. Because there's so many things to fix, and you cannot do this. You cannot just fix stuff. You have to completely redo things. Just like I do with ray tracing. It's a completely different view into rendering graphics. It's completely different. You don't even use the same geometry anymore. It's crazy. So, yeah, the conclusion is we're not even playing a game. We're just anyone who gets anything, I would just consider them lucky or just obsessed. I don't know. I don't even know how to consider that. It's just fucking stupid. I wouldn't even say that that's lucky because they very very much oriented towards that specific thing. Towards I want that. But what do you want? Like I struggled so hard to be like, well, what do I want from love? And it shouldn't be just, oh, I want to make a family. You just kind of want to connect with the person, and that's it. Whatever comes out of it is just going to be just filling up the hole of boredom. If you run out of things to do, well, you have a lot of options still. But you share your passions, you figure things out. Like, gosh, isn't this super simple? So that's the end of the round. It's so important. It's the most important part. And I won't stop ranting about this, but that's it for now.